McManus.
Some people thought Crazy Eddie Muldoon and I were to blame for breaking Rancid Crabtree's leg.
Well, you were.
Oddly, the odorous-seemed crack to the old woodsman himself was one of the people who thought this. He said as soon as he got off his crutches, he intended to run Pat and me down and whale the tar out of us.
Just as soon as I finish these here pork rinds.
We weren't too worried. We figured by the time Rancid got the cast off, he would have cooled off enough to see that the accident was really his own doings and no fault of ours.
But before he got off his crutches, the little incident with the bobcat occurred, generally confusing matters even more.
Eddie always observed. Try to do a good deed for someone, and it just gets you into more trouble. Anyways, here's the true facts about the entire mess.
During our Christmas vacation from 3rd grade, Pat and I built a toboggan run up on the mountain behind Rancid's shack.
Get out of my yard!
The design of our run was based on one we'd seen in newsreels at the Pandora Theater the Saturday before.
Hey, we can build that. Yeah, but except ours can be steep and faster. Yeah, our turns can be a little sharper.
Yeah, but what if you don't make that sharp curve?
We shot off into space, I guess.
Wow. Can you imagine all the cows and cars you'd see on the way up there?
Sounds dangerous.
Let's do it!
So, we got to work. While building up our curve bank, Eddie slipped, nearly shot down the runway. Nothing but his body.
And I would have too, if I hadn't managed to grab a small tree and pull myself back up.
Unfortunately.
He glided to a gradual stop on the Sand Creek Road, which was seldom traveled during winter, even then only by old Miss Swisher, who drove to church on each Sunday. Brethren, we have met to worship. They completed the track on a Friday and planned to make their first test run on Saturday. The next morning, Crazy Eddie and Patrick were dragging their sled past Rancid's shack and were arguing about who got to go down it first.
Now listen, Eddie, it's my sled.
Yeah, that's right. That's why you should be the first to test the run.
No, sirree. I should be the one who gets to choose who goes first, and I'd choose you.
About then, Rancid stuck his head out the door of his shack.
Hey! What you boys up to now? Some kind of monkey business, no doubt. You know, I ain't never seen no young'uns monkey get into more trouble than you two.
We built a toboggan run up on the mountain, Rancid, just like the one in the newsreel. It's real fast, too.
Hold up a sec. I better go check this out. You two full half pints probably invented some new way to kill yourselves.
Half an hour later, they stood at the start of the toboggan run. All of them still puffing great clouds of vapor from the climb up the trail. Rancid stared at the little track going down the first switchback.
You call this a toboggan run? I can't believe I climbed all the way up here just to see this pretty little track in the snow. I must have been out of my mind. Give me that sled. The least you can do is let me ride back to the bottom of the mountain on it.
But it might be dangerous, Mr. Crabtree.
Dangerous? Eddie, I expect I ain't never told you, but I used to be a professional bobsledder. Just like you see in the movies. Racing Rancid, they used to call me.
I didn't know that. I figured he must have been a professional bobsledder right after being a fighter pilot.
3 bogeys, 6 o'clock, 3 bogeys, 6 o'clock, look out, look out!
Or before he was a big game hunter in Africa.
Here, kitty. Got you now.
Or around the same time he was a champion prize fighter.
Come on, you got nothing. Yep, now give me a shovel.
He glided slowly towards the first curve, gradually picking up speed. He called back to us as he went around the first edge.
I hate to tell you this, boys, but your bobsled track ain't even good enough to give a fella a decent ride.
We were disappointed in the professional bobsledder's assessment of our run, but figured his opinion of it might improve later on. Sure enough, next time we heard him yell,
Was about the time we thought he'd hit the section into the skid trail.
I think you like the skid trail section.
Yeah, he sounded excited.
So that is how Rancid broke his leg. He said later he didn't know when, where, or how he broke his leg, or even that he had, because his mind was so occupied with other matters, which were among willing to tar out Patrick and Eddie at the first opportunity.
The only other eyewitness other than Ransom was old Miss Swisher, who was a little daft anyways, and really couldn't be relied on for any accurate observation.
I got a little mixed up, but thinking it was Sunday instead of Saturday, I started driving town to go to church. As always, I was especially nervous going by that dreadful Rancid Crabtree shack because he's in cahoots with the devil. Well, I'm driving along minding my own business, and all of a sudden that fool Crabtree zooms right by me, just flying he was about a foot in the air, going like the wind. I caught a glimpse of his face, he was going so fast, and I'm sorry I did too. It had such a hideous expression on it you can't even imagine. The thought has kept me awake at night ever since. In one hand, he had this little green tree torn up from the roots. I bet it had something to do with one of the devilish rides of his. He shot down Sand Creek Hill, and I thought he might be laying an ambush for me up ahead, so I turned right around and went home. And it was a good thing I did too, because now what was that? Well, I remembered it was Saturday instead of Sunday.
Naturally, nobody took daft old Miss Swisher's account seriously.
Later on, Patrick and I were walking along the highway pulling our sled. We were trying to think of a way to make amends with Rancid when we saw a furry shape lying on the highway.
Eddie and I both had fine roadkill collections, and this specimen seemed mighty exceptional. It's mine. You got the last one.
No, sirree. You got that nice flattened toe last fall. And, hey, what is this anyways?
Mine. It's a bobcat. Feel it. Still warm. Got a little blood on its head from where the car probably hit it, but otherwise it's in great shape. Well, guess I better be getting my bobcat home. Maybe I'll stuff it.
No, you won't. I'm going to take it home and stuff it.
Wait, I know what. We'll give it to Ransom. He can skin it and sell the hide. What do you say, Eddie? He reluctantly agreed.
We loaded the bobcat onto the sled and hauled it over to Rancid's shack. I pushed the door gently open and peeked inside, just to make sure Rancid wasn't close enough to swat me before he saw he was one of the gift. Rancid's still asleep.
Should we wake him up?
No, he's probably all pooped from carrying that caster on with him. I know. We'll just carry the bobcat in and lay it on the table next to his bed. That way he'll see it when he first wakes up. It'll be a nice surprise for him.
Eddie was real good at thinking up nice surprises for people.
We carried the bobcat in and laid it onto the table next to the snoring Rancid.
Eddie studied the arrangement. Oh, good. Looks too dead.
We looked around and found a box of kitchen matches. Then we took 2 of the matches and used them to pop apart the bobcat's lips, and a pretty fair imitation of a snarl. Then we took the matchbox and stuck it under the critter's chin, so it looked as if the big cat were holding its head up, ready to spring.
Then we tiptoed out and hunkered next beside the door and waited for the old woodsman's awakening.